Boom! Happy Halloween! So today I'm going to show you how to crochet some very last minute Halloween crochet accessories. I'm going to show you how to make a devil headband and angel wings. Ta-da! So today I'm going to show you how to make the devil headband as well as these angel wings. And luckily I already had some crocheting garments that I'm able to style with these Halloween costumes. Many of you often ask me how I design and make crochet patterns for myself and how I get the garments to fit myself so well. And I think I have the perfect solution for you today thanks to today's sponsor, Crochet. Whether you want to learn more about specific crocheting techniques or how to fit garments to yourself, you can explore these topics further thanks to today's sponsor, Crochet. Crochet is your online resource for all things creative. Crochet classes include step-by-step instructions plus helpful downloadable resources to make learning easy. I really enjoy how Crochet not only has over 2,000 classes in more than 20 creative categories, including crocheting and knitting, but also makes searching for specific skill sets that you might not even know the specific name of really easy with their content topic filter. Personally, I have been really enjoying Kenneth D. King's Genius Reverse Engineer Your Favorite Fit because despite the fact that he is sewing, many of the techniques and principles he teaches are also really applicable when designing crochet garments. I feel like I'm finally learning the language behind design decisions I've been intuitively making and learning more tips and tricks to apply in my crocheting moving forward. Speaking of sewing, I've also been meaning to learn how to sew and actually use my sewing machine. Impulsively, I purchased a sewing machine when I went on sale, but it's been collecting dust in the corner of my bedroom. But I've actually taken it back out and started learning the basics with Amy Allen's Sew Ready Machine Basics. Craftsy is always creating new classes to keep you coming back for more and help you stay inspired. As a member, you'll have access to Craftsy's live streaming tutorials where expert instructors share their tips, answer questions, and engage with the Craftsy community in real time. The first 1,000 people to click my link below will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. This offer is valid for new members only. Thank you again to today's sponsor, Craftsy. Okay, we are going to start off by crocheting our angel wings. To make the angel wings, the thing that you see how it's like stiff and it like flaps like little bird's wings. I made a couple of experiments. Like I was experimenting with creating angel wings and making angel wings that would like actually retain its shape like so. So when you like wear it, it stands up. This was like one of my earlier renditions, and as you can see, she's like quite sad and floppy. But in order to stiffen up my crochet work so that it actually keeps its shape, I am going to be using pipe cleaners. I'm going to be crocheting around pipe cleaners. You're going to need pipe cleaners. You are going to need a 5mm hook, and you are going to need some plush yarn. I would really recommend trying to get your hands on this type of plushy yarn. And specifically the reason for that is that it really fills in any type of gaps that you might see. It's very ideal for things like plushies, amigurumi, things like that. But those are just generally things that I don't really crochet very often. So hopefully I'll be able to, use up this yarn a little bit in this project. Now we are going to begin with the longest or like largest part of the wing. So if you want to create an even bigger wing, then I would go ahead and start with more chains. If you want to create smaller wings, although I don't know that I'd recommend it because these are quite small already. But if you want to create a smaller wing, go ahead and just start off with fewer chains. I'm going to go ahead and start off with a slip knot. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around these two fingers, twist, and then grab your working yarn and pull that up. You just created your slip knot. Shimmy that onto your hook and tighten. And now I am going to start off with a foundation single crochet chain. If you're finding a lot of difficulty with creating a foundation single crochet chain to start with, I would just go ahead and just start off with a normal chain. So like yarn over, pull that up, and just start off with, just a normal chain. I feel like these plushie yarns are not super ideal for beginners in general, just because the plush itself kind of hides the parts of your stitches, so it can be really difficult to know where to insert your hook, and you do kind of have to go by feel. That's like my biggest tip when using plush yarns. We are going to start off with a foundation single crochet chain. To make a foundation single crochet chain, you're going to start off with 2 chains, so 1 and then 2. And now I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain that I've created, going underneath the front loop, as well as kind of shimmying around here and getting underneath the back loop as well. You may need to kind of like feel your yarn to be able to feel those different loops. But I'm going to go ahead and yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through the first loop only to make a loop, yarn over, and then pull through both loops on your hook to finish the single crochet. That is your first foundation single crochet chain. We are now going to move on to the second chain. To make the second chain, you're going to insert your hook into that loop that you created previously, making sure to go underneath that front and back part of that loop. Yarn over and pull that up, yarn over, go through just the first loop, making a loop, yarn over, go through both loops on your hook, finishing off your second chain. And to make every other chain, you are just going to continue repeating, inserting your hook underneath that loop that you made previously, yarning over and pulling up a loop through that, yarning over and making your loop, yarning over and making your loop, yarning over, and then going through both loops on your hook. And you can start seeing the little chains form. And now I am just going to repeat this until I have successfully made 35 foundation single crochet chains. And I'll be right back. I have now successfully created 35 foundation single crochet chains, and now I am going to give myself chain 1 and slightly turn your work. So you are going to be working into those chains that you just created. Also, at this point, go ahead and grab those pipe cleaners, and what I am going to do is I'm going to kind of line it up to see how many pipe cleaners I am going to need to incorporate. This is like kind of awkward because it's like exactly 2. So before I go ahead and start crocheting around the pipe cleaner, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wind them together. So if you're making like a larger wing, you'll probably need more pipe cleaners, but you're just going to go ahead and twist those pipe cleaners together and try to flatten it out as much as possible. Doesn't need to be perfect. You're gonna crochet around it. No one's gonna see it. It'll be fine. Am I telling you this or am I telling myself this? I think I'm telling myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that chain 1 that I just created, and I'm instead going to insert my hook into the first actual stitch right here, just like so. And I am going to kind of hold my pipe cleaner right here, and I'm going to create a single crochet around it. To make a single crochet, you're going to yarn over once, and then you are going to pull that yarn over up, and then yarn over once more, and then pull it through the 2 loops on your hook. As you can see, I did not successfully incorporate that first stitch with the pipe cleaner, but I swear you just kind of hold it and you insert your hook, kind of make sure that you're doing like all your yarn overs and all that like around the hook. Successfully incorporated. Insert your hook, start yarning over that pipe cleaner. Yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through last 2 in order to finish that off. So this is what it should start looking like. As you go further down the row, it should start to get a little bit easier because you don't have like one of the ends poking out. So we're just going to continue creating rows of single crochet, crocheting around this pipe cleaner. And as you can probably tell, because of that, it's very stiff. My stitches aren't like flopping over, and it's holding its shape, just like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue creating single crochets all the way down the length of this, crocheting around this pipe cleaner, and then I'll show you what to do next. So this is what the end of my first row looks like. And as you can see, it has the pipe cleaner incorporated in it. I'm gonna chain 1, turn my work. And if you've got a little pipe cleaner sticking out, you can just kind of, I don't know, hide it into your work. We are now going to be repeating these 2 rows over and over and over again until you have decreased down to like the smallest length that you want your wing to be. The first row that you are going to start creating is that you are going to just continue creating a row of single crochet, but you are not going to work into the last 3 stitches of your row. So no pipe cleaner, just row of single crochet. So if you're following my stitch count, I started off with 35 stitches. So I'm going to be working the first 32 stitches. So not working those last 3 stitches. Okay, so I've now worked up and I have not worked the last 3 stitches of my row, meaning I have worked the first 32 stitches of my row. Now you are going to chain 1, turn your work, and this is the second row that we are now going to be repeating. Go ahead and take out those trusty pipe cleaners once more. And again, just kind of line it up. You don't need to be like super exact with it. Approximately, you're gonna want it this long. So you are just gonna then twist these together. And then flattening that out as best as possible. And then you are going to incorporate and crochet around said pipe cleaner. I find personally that this first stitch is always so finicky, and sometimes it really just doesn't want to be crocheted around, so sometimes I honestly just kind of shove it in and call it a day. Yeah, go in. And then I'll go into my next stitch and start crocheting around the pipe cleaner. So again, you're just going to crochet around the pipe cleaner, and then you're going to work all stitches till the end, chain 1, turn your work. Okie doke, so that second row has now been completed. This is what it's looking like. And we are just going to continue repeating those 2 rows. So that first row that we work back down, we are going to work up until the last 3 stitches, no pipe cleaner. And then the second row, you are going to work with the pipe cleaner and incorporate it. I am going to continue decreasing 35, 32, 29, 26, 23, I don't know why that took me so long, 20, 17, 14, 11, and then 8. I'm going to decrease down to 8 total stitches. And then once I've decreased all the way down, I'll meet you back up. So now you should have a piece that looks like this. As you can see, it's quite blocky, and we're going to try to get it to look a little bit more wing-like, a little bit more curved, etc., etc. Basically, I have worked up until the row in which I created 8 stitches all the way across, so I've decreased to 8 stitches. And normally we would do a 2-row repeat, so I would turn my work and then use a pipe cleaner, crochet around it, etc., etc. But we're actually not going to do that for the very last row here. We're going to do something a little bit different in order to start curving out the wing. So I'm going to give myself chain 1, turn my work, and from here I am going to use 1 single crochet in my first stitch. So 1 single crochet, and then I'm gonna make 1 half double crochet. To make a half double crochet, you're gonna start off with a yarn over on your hook, and then insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up. You should have 3 loops on your hook now. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And now we are going to put double crochet stitches into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. To make a double crochet, you're going to start off with a yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull that yarn over up. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops only. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops on your hook. That's 1 double crochet. And you're just going to repeat that for the next 3 stitches. So 4 double crochets in total. And then for the second to last stitch, we are going to do a half double crochet. In the last stitch of our row, we are going to insert 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. All in that same stitch. You start to see how it's beginning to curve over. We are now going to start working into this side of our wing, and I'm just going to go underneath a couple of strands that I see on the side here. I'm going to start off with a single crochet, and then I'm going to work a half double crochet into the next little stitch I see here. And now I'm going to be using double crochets until about 2 rows to the end here in order to like kind of create that curve on this side. So kind of like the same concept where we increase the stitch height in order to make that curve on this side. That's exactly what we're going to do here. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next couple of stitches at the sides of my stitches and give myself double crochets. And you start to see how like the wing is starting to like fold in on itself. That is a good sign. So I'm going to continue creating double crochets, and then I'm going to finish this off with a half double and then a single. So now you can see like right here, it'll start bunching up. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use slip stitches to just outline all around the edges of the angel wing, including kind of here. You see how this kind of almost looks like a little step ladder, but this is a little bit more curved. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into the first little stitch I see over here, and giving myself just some slip stitches. So that's just yarning over and then pulling that yarn over up. And it kind of cleans up your edges, particularly with a wing. You don't really want it to be like super jagged, right? You want it to kind of have some curves. And because of that, the slip stitch row is really going to help achieve that look. So I've done a row of slip stitches all along this edge right here. And then in here, I am going to go underneath sort of the sides of my little step ladder, as well as this like underside. So it doesn't have to be like super exact, but you just kind of go underneath a couple of the strands of yarn that you see here, just trying to round out the little like tips of the wings. So that it doesn't look as harsh. I got my nails done, and I'm obsessed with them, but they really have been slowing down my crochet. So I'm gonna continue creating my slip stitches, and as you can see, this like kind of really softens and like curves out these really rough corner edges. And I'm going to continue creating slip stitches all the way around until I reach back to this first corner where I started making slip stitches. And then basically that's it for the wings. I am going to sew them together and then kind of create a little harness or like little straps so I can wear them. So I'll come back to show you how I do that. So I now have 2 wings. I'm going to take this end and I'm going to thread this end through my needle, and I am going to connect the sides of my 2 wings by sewing them together. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew. Okay, so this is what it is looking like so far, sewn together and with my ends woven in. You're gonna wanna decide which side is like your ugly side, aka like the side that's gonna be on the inside, or like where the straps are gonna come out from. I think this side looks a little bit better than this side. What I'm gonna do here as well is I am going to actually start making connections right here because I want the wings to be a little bit perky. So I'm just gonna insert my hook underneath a couple of the stitches on each of these sides. And then taking more of my yarn, I'm gonna give myself a little slip knot. And then I'm going to tighten that on my hook. Pull that up and through. And then I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and insert underneath a couple more stitches to make sure that this part is really secure, slip stitching these together. And this is just to make sure that the angel wings really kind of stand up. You see how it's like a little bit more angled upwards? In order to make straps from here, you really just need to create a chain that's going to be long enough to be worn around, you know, your shoulders, just like a little backpack strap. So just create a strap or a chain that can be doubled as a strap. Honestly, I have no idea how many chains I'm gonna need. This is just something that I'm going to measure around myself. Okay, so I've made approximately 45 chains, and now I'm going to kind of twist my work. So I'm looking at the bottom here, and I'm gonna punch through the bottom of one of my wings here, yarn over and pull that up just to secure that. And then I'm gonna go into the middle where my wings intersect right here and then create a slip stitch. And this is just to bring my yarn to the other side here to make my second strap. So because I made 45 chains on this side for this strap, I'm gonna make 45 chains here, and then I'm going to connect it back here. A couple of notes, once you finish the straps, if you want your wings to be angled up even more, what you could do is sew on a part of the wing to the strap. That can help keep it up a little bit more upright. But yeah, that's how you do your wings, and then weave in all your ends once you're done. Okay, so we are going to make the devil headband. I am going to show you how to make the horns, and then I'm going to show you how to make the headband, and then you just sew the horns onto the headband. And for this project, you are going to need, this is approximately a weight 4 yarn. I like it because it's like red and glittery, but it stains my hands like none other. I actually posted this on an Instagram story a while back, and people were suggesting that I use like micellar water or like acetone to like try to remove it. I tried. I tried, and it still like wouldn't come off for a couple of days. So unfortunately, it is what it is. You're also gonna need a 3.5 millimeter hook. To make this horn, we are going to start off with a magic ring. To make a magic ring, you're going to pinch the end of your yarn with these 2 fingers and then wrap around the 2 fingers, making sure that there's a cross or an intersection. You're going to take your hook, insert it underneath that intersection that you made, kind of hold that in place with this finger. And then you are going to go ahead and slip your fingers out of the loop and kind of hold the loop taut. And you are going to yarn over and pull this yarn over up. So that is your little magic ring. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the chain 1. And I'm going to insert 6 single crochets into the ring. So 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, and 6. And now, the reason why it's called a magic ring is because you're going to tug on this end to close it up, pull on it really tight to close up your little magic ring. Now, if you need a stitch marker, go ahead and get that ready. But at this point, I am going to insert my hook into the first little single crochet stitch that I made. And I'm going to just go ahead and single crochet all around the ring until the very last stitch. So that's 1, 2. And then I'm at my 6th and last stitch. In your last stitch of every single row, you are going to increase, which just means that you are going to put 2 single crochets into the same stitch. I have 2 single crochet stitches into that last stitch. At this point, you might need to really pull it taut to close up that ring. It also might start folding in on itself, so you might want to kind of pop that out. But essentially, every row here on after is going to be an increase in the last stitch. So if you need a stitch marker to mark out either your last or your first stitch, however you want to think about it, you can go ahead and do that. For myself, though, I actually find that just kind of reading my stitches is a little bit easier. So let me show you when I get there. Essentially, when you get to your last stitch, you're going to know that it's your last stitch because there's 2 stitches poking out of 1 stitch. And then in that second stitch, you are going to create your increase. Essentially, you are going to continue creating increases at the very last stitch of the row in order to make the little devil horns. And then do you see how there's 2 V's popping out of this stitch? That's how I know that this is my last stitch area, but I know that my last stitch is going to be that second V that's coming out. So that's what I mean by reading your stitches. But if that gets too confusing, you could always just use a stitch marker to mark out the beginning or end of your row. But I am just going to continue repeating increases until I have increased to 18 total stitches in the round. So I have now increased to 18 stitches, and I'm going to pull out a good length of my yarn in order to use it to sew the horns onto the headband later. So now I have 2 little horns finished, and I'm going to show you how to create the headband portion. If you don't want to create the headband portion, if you already have a pre-existing headband, you could totally hot glue this, get crafty with it, DIY a little bit. However, I am going to make a little headband. To make the headband, we are going to start off with a chain that you are going to use to tie the headband, and then the actual headband portion, and then you're going to end it with another chain. So I'm going to start off with a slip knot and go ahead and shimmy that onto your hook. Now I'm going to do a foundation single crochet chain. So I'm going to chain 2 and then insert my hook underneath the front and the back loops, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, and pull through that first loop only, yarn over, and pull through both loops on your hook. So you've just created your first foundation single crochet chain. And now I'm going to insert my hook into the loop that we kind of made previously, underneath both strands, yarning over, pulling up, yarning over, making a loop by only going through the first loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So that's your second chain. You're just going to continue repeating this sequence until you've created a chain that's long enough for your preference. I am going to chain 50 chains to begin with, and then I'll show you how we start to shape out the headband. Okay, so I have now finished my 50 foundation single crochet chains, and I'm going to give myself chain 2, slightly twist my work so I'm looking at this first stitch. I'm skipping the 2 chains that I just made, and I'm going to put 3 half double crochets into this stitch. To make a half double crochet, you're going to start off with a yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then pull through all 3. And again, I'm going to put 2 more stitches in here to have a total stitch count of 3. And then I'm going to chain 2, turn my work. Now we're going to create increases every row until you have a width of a headband that you want. I'm going to increase to 13 because I feel like that's a spooky number. And I am now going to be working into the back loops only. So I'm going to skip my 2 turning chains that I've made. And I'm going to go into the back loop only, just like so. And create an increase at your first and last stitch of the row. That's 1, 2, 3, then last stitch, 4, 5, chain 2, turn your work, and then again increasing the first stitch, working the rest of the stitches as normal, and then last stitch, creating 2 in that final stitch. Truthfully, I have already finished a headband and I'm kind of feeling a little lazy, so sorry. However, at this point, you are just going to create rows and rows and rows for the desired length of your headband. I did approximately 30 rows, but I want to show you how you make decreases so that once you're done with that length of the headband that you want to create, I'll show you how to make the decreases so that you can decrease it and create the other side of the headband. To make a decrease, you're going to start off with a yarn over, insert your hook into the first back loop only, yarn over and pull up, insert your hook into the second stitch, back loop only, yarn over, pull up. You should have 4 loops on your hook now. And then now you're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. So that's how you create a decrease. So once you have created, all of your rows in the middle here, then on the other side, you are going to start creating decreases to get down to 3 stitches. And then you're going to create your chain or your foundation single crochet chain off the other side, and then you can sew on your little horns. Also, I did just want an excuse to wear this new dress of mine. Isn't she fabulous? Another costume idea you could use with the wings is you could be a Victoria's Secret model. If you're feeling really, really, confident, just wear that lingerie set, girl. Ooh. Anyways, I hope you guys all have a very safe and fun Halloween, whatever you're doing, whatever you're dressing up as. I hope this video gave you some nice, easy, last-minute Halloween costume ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Special thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. If you would like to support me over there, I would really highly appreciate it. Basically, you can get access to my supply sheet, a written pattern every month. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a great Halloween season. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. Thank you again to today's sponsor, Craftsy. Have a safe and responsible, yet fun Halloween this year. Bye!